Hi, I'm Sonia. I made this video to share my experience of buying my first cell phone ever. I'm hoping it'll help somebody else who's buying their first phone. Let me give you a little bit about my tech background. So, as you've guessed, I've never owned a cell phone. I don't have a Gmail account. I'm not on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. I don't really have any video game experience. And this is the first video I've ever made, in case you can't tell. I do work on computers for a living though, so I'm pretty good about getting around desktops and printers, modems, and that sort of thing. So I never bought a cell phone because I never felt I needed it for communication. But I've been thinking about it this year and I decided I wanted one for other reasons. The first reason is organization. I work a lot of hours full-time, I have a family and take care of my home. That means I have lots of to-do lists, appointments, grocery lists, menus, reminders, birthdays, school events, important bills and finance dates, and other things that I need to track and organize. The second reason is to get in shape or stay in shape. So I know the phone's not gonna get me in shape by itself, but I like to use software like Spark People because I've noticed that when I track what I've eating and exercise, I maintain a healthy weight and I feel better. And Spark People and other software like it have apps that are available for the phone. And my challenge with those softwares are that when I'm at work, I'm working, and when I'm at home, I'm usually busy and not at the computer, cooking, taking care of my child, doing laundry, you know it all. So what I'm hoping the phone is going to help me do is there's a lot of little windows of a minute or two during the day where you're waiting for something, waiting in line, and I think those little windows will allow me the time to track these things, stay on top of them, and work towards the goals that are important to me. The third reason is to stay on budget. Like getting in shape, the same idea. I use a software called YNAB to track my spending. It works really well. Again, they have an app for the phone, and again, it's the same, using those little windows of opportunity of 1 minute and 2 minutes through the day that allow me to stay on top of tracking these things, and it really makes a difference. And I think that being able to stay on top of tracking my budget will actually more than pay off the value of the phone, what it's costing me. The fourth reason is to stay ahead of my daughter on the tech front so that I can guide and monitor her usage eventually. I do have a plan B for that. My brother is an IT expert, so if none of this works out, I think I'm still good on that front. And the final reason is emergency and other calling or texting. Communication is not a key reason for me for buying the phone, but it's nice to have. And like in situations like early this year when I broke down in the car in the middle of nowhere, it would have been nice to have a cell phone. So it's also one of the reasons I haven't considered getting a tablet or a device like that, because I really like to keep things simple. I only want one device, and while communication isn't the main reason, it is something that I would like to have, and as I mentioned, I don't want more than one device. So that covers the reasons. the research and selection of the phone and plan. So I believe I am genetically defective in whatever gene allows you to use touchscreen because I am useless at it. Also, I love pen and paper and notebooks, journals, and everything written. So when I started reviewing new smartphones about 6 months ago, the Samsung Note 5 was the obvious one for me. The more reviews and videos I watched, the more convinced I was that I wanted to try it. Okay, so that was the phone. Having the stylus with the Samsung Note 5 and seeing what I was able to do with it and being able to use that, and the fact that it wasn't separate from the phone, the fact that it actually was integrated easily into the phone, all that made it something, as I mentioned, that I wanted to try. For the plan, that was also actually surprisingly easy. A lot of people that I know and what I've heard, it's very difficult to make comparisons between different plans, service providers, the options that are available. I thought it was going to be a nightmare. I live in Canada where we only have a handful of providers, and actually only 2 offered plans for the Note 5. And that's Rogers and Bell. Those were my options, and since I already have Bell for my home services, it was a pretty easy choice for me. With regard to the plans, I was hoping to spend about $50. Apparently that was naive of me. They have a plan for $55, but it's voice only. That didn't mean anything to me, so they explained to me, well, that's only calling or texting. That doesn't include data. So the cheapest plan that had data was $75. And that was a little bit above where I wanted to spend for my budget. And so what I did was I actually called Bell and reviewed what I already had with them, and they actually gave me a promotion on the services I already have since I was going to be adding to it. So now it's all good. I have unlimited calling and texting in Canada and 4 gigs of data. So for yourself, you can probably figure out how much calling, texting you need. You probably have a good idea. And I think they have alarms on the phones now that warn you if you're near your limit. So if you communicate a lot, you may want to check into that with some of the reps, what they suggest. For the data usage, 4 gigs is probably plenty for me. My understanding is if you watch a lot of videos or play games, you may need more. But the other thing you're going to want to look into is if you're in a Wi-Fi zone with your phone, any of the phones, you can switch to the Wi-Fi for browsing instead of using your data plan. So when I open this little baby and set it up, that's going to be one of my first priorities, is to learn how to make that setting and make sure I know when I'm in a Wi-Fi zone, in a park, in a cafe, wherever, that I am on the Wi-Fi setting and not using my data plan. So back to my little Samsung Galaxy Note 5. I saw it at Costco in August. I loved it just looking at it. I waited until Black Friday, and then I went and visited Best Buy, The Source, a Bell Boutique, and back to Costco. Everyone was pretty willing to match the others' prices. They had slight differences. It wasn't any major differences. But I liked and trusted the rep at Costco I'd been speaking to, and the insurance policy was excellent. Now, the insurance policy I got was $100 for 2 years against anything. So I took that. When I was paying for it, he set up the phone for me. Basically, he put in, I guess, the SIM card. I don't know what they do. He put in the SIM card, and he also attached the screen cover. I bought a screen cover separately. That was about $25. I think you can get cheaper ones, but there's a lot of discussion about how good different ones are. They recommend generally, because this is glass, they recommend, a lot of people seem to recommend glass covers on top of it, so that it maintains, because it's got a beautiful looking screen that display the resolution, and a glass cover will maintain that resolution. So he installed that for me. And there's also, people buy cases for the phone too. There's a lot of opinions about cases and whether you should buy them, screen covers. One of the reasons I got the screen cover was because there was one comment that the screen becomes less responsive over time without it. And, you know, as I mentioned before, I already have a trouble with touchscreens, so I can't afford that. For the case, I decided against the case for the moment. I may get it later, but I have the insurance, so I'm covered if anything happens, and I'll see about that. So, he handed me my beautiful Samsung Galaxy Note 5, and I asked the rep, I said, what's the first thing you do? And he said, well, link up your Gmail account. And as you know, I don't have a Gmail account. So he explained that I'm going to need a Gmail account in order to download apps, free or not. And he said it's very easy to set up. So I was hoping not to have to get a second email, but I guess I will. And I guess on the positive side of that, my brother, IT expert, says that it's a good idea to have a second email and use that for your online traffic and business and what you're doing for security. So that's what we'll be doing probably in the next video, is setting up this beautiful little phone. As you can see, I got the 32 gigabyte one. They also have supposedly a 64, but I'm not sure it's available in Canada. There are people who are concerned about it not having enough gigabyte storage. You can't add a card. And also about the battery is not replaceable. So one of the things I did for research was actually look at those two items. I don't think there'll be a problem for me. But I found a really great video by Eric at Techisode TV, and he talks about how you can overcome those challenges. I thought it was really good. As I said, I don't think it's going to be an issue for me, but in case it's an issue for you, you might want to check it out if this is a phone you're looking at. So that's all for today, and we'll get into unboxing and setting it up and figuring all that out in the next video. Thanks, I hope this helped, and I hope you have a nice day.